All right. Some meetings, they don't have any Superboys. Some may only have one, but we brought you two today. Okay? And if you look in your programs, you've read their histories, but I'd really like to introduce Mr. John Rockwell and Mr. Gerard Christopher. And those of you who don't know and wonder why you're here, John Rockwell was in the 1961 Adventures of Superboy pilot. Right, the pilot. And Gerard Christopher was in seasons 2 through 4 of Superboy, then the Adventures of Superboy. Went on also to write some episodes and produce the series. Okay? All right, and we will be allowing you guys to ask some questions after a while, so get those questions ready for you, and my assistant Jennifer will be walking amongst you with the microphone so we can hear you. Okay? Well, first of all, let's start out with both of you. How did you hear about the role of Superboy? How did you get wind of it, and what was the audition experience like? Whoever would like to start?
All right, I'll start first. I was doing a TV show at a studio called Zip, and I heard they were looking for Superboy. So I happened to walk in the office of the producer and the head of the studio. They were playing gin rummy. So I said, by the way, I have the winner, and also I can fly. So I heard so they laughed, and I took the winner on and started playing gin and beat him. So I knew I had the job right there. They were actually casting when I was sitting there playing gin rummy with them when they had different actors come up with the part. But I knew I already had it.
If you wanted the part, shouldn't you play Throwing the Game? That's what I would tell you.
Once I beat them, they wanted me to keep coming back.
That's cool.
Now, in your case, you were taking over a role that somebody else had already played.
Yeah.
How did you hear about it, and what was your thinking going into it?
Well, you know, it was I didn't even know that the show was on the air the first year. I had no idea. And so when my agent called me and said, we have an audition for this, I thought it was a brand new show. I didn't know they were firing the actor that did it before to replace him. But I just went in for the audition. It was a lot of fun. They flew me down to Florida for it. Because I didn't know it, but as soon as the guy, the producer, Ilya Salkin, met me, he kind of wanted to hire me right away. I didn't know it. He didn't let on, because if he does that, you know, then you ask for more money and this and that. So he flew me down to Florida and he made me do a screen test. It was the most bogus screen test. It was like, the other guy that was testing for it looked like, I don't know how to explain. He was like this skinny and like, he looked like so unbelievably wrong for the part. At least if they were trying to make it look like, you know, I had competition, they really didn't try that hard. But I was too stupid to even know what was going on.
Were either of you fans of Superboy, Superman, or the comic books before you went into it, or did you just look at the script and go, well, who is this?
No, actually, when they said they're going to do Superboy, I mean, it was back in 1961, and the producer said, you're going to be working quite a bit, because they said you'll be doing 2 shows a week. And I said, all right. I had a good agent at that time that they were paying $50,000 a show. So way back in '61, it was going to be a good contract. Then all of a sudden they had a legal problem with Kellogg's and Wheaties because Superman was still on the air. And when you expect it to happen and it doesn't, you say, well, I guess that's show business. That's where it goes.
Oh, me? I mean, I'm old enough to know who George Reeves was. I saw all those shows 10 times, and I loved them. And I also actually met Christopher Reeve before he was Superman in New York. And I loved when he was Superman. So when I got this, I just thought it was the coolest thing.
Now, you mentioned Christopher Reeve and George Reeves. Did the producers and directors give you any sort of guidance or pressure to model your performances more like those actors, or to more or less find your own take on the character?
It's a good question. The advice that I got, I don't know if anybody in here met Ilya Salkin. Was he there like that? Ilya's a very cool guy. And Ilya, when I first got the job, he brought me in his office and, you know, oh, I just got to tell you this just because it's fun. I mean, Ilya's office, when he walked in, he had corkboard on every side of the office, the ceilings, the walls. It was like walking into like a CIA office because I think he was afraid that people were going to hear him or something. He was like a very secret guy, but you know, he would laugh if he was here if I told the story. So I stood in front of him and I was in my costume. I think it was right before we were shooting. And he just said to me, he looked at me in the eye and he says, I don't want to make you feel too nervous, but you know, the show before was really tanking, and unless the ratings go up really good, you're out of a job. And then he said, but I don't want you to feel pressure or anything. And by the way, the other 120 people on the show, they'll be out of work too. So I said, oh, no problem, don't worry about it. But he was a character.
Hello, Mr. Christopher. Wondered if you had seen any episodes of Smallville, because I've noticed some plot elements in your series were kind of then used in certain terms. I remember an episode where Clark enters Lex Luthor's brain, for instance, and lives his life in a really good two-parter. I wondered if you had the impressions of Smallville, or noticed that they maybe had taken a few things from your series, some ideas.
So you tell me they ripped us off? Is there an attorney in the audience? No, you know what? To be honest, I've never seen Lois and Clark. I'd never seen the show before, the Superboy show with the other actor in it, and for good reason. I mean, he got fired. You don't want to try to emulate what he did, right? So after my show, I did reach out to the people at. Well, actually, they cast me for Lois and Clark. I don't know if people know that. But when they found out that I had done Superman before, there was one producer that freaked out and they sent me packing. So then they hired Dean Cain about 2 weeks later. But to answer your question, I think we didn't rip off anybody. We had really good writers. People were really energized. But I think when they're doing shows for a long time, like they did, Lois and Clark was what, 4 seasons maybe? I don't know. And Smallville was 10 maybe, right? So when you're doing a show that long, you probably have to rip somebody off. So they did it, and you know, good for them.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? I see a gentleman over here in the third there.
I'm curious to know how many episodes in the first and second series of Superboy did you make?
There were a total of about, you know, there's a guy here that knows better than me. There's 100 even, right? I was in all of them except for the first 22, I think.
78.
Something like that.
Thank you. And we got a question right there, young man.
Was the flying a big challenge?
You know, that's actually a good one because, you know, when they hired me, they don't say, you have a problem with heights? You know, they never ask you that. But in reality, it was, if you were afraid of heights, it was the wrong job for you, for sure. And I'll tell you one really fun story. The flying was one of the hardest things to do and one of the most fun things to do. It was hard because, I don't know if any of you have been inside where we're signing the autographs and the guy has set up a green screen there. The green screen, I don't know if you saw it. But he has a green screen, and that's how we did a lot of our flying. So whenever you see me flying and you see like a background in the background that's moving, they do a green screen and they project that against it, and that's how they make that work. But that was a very uncomfortable experience because the way they did it was they had this huge screen in a soundstage, and in front of that they had an apparatus with guys in it above me, and I was attached with and actually I have my suit inside that has, it's one of the flying suits. So you can see holes on the side. They had me wear a harness with little tiny wires coming out the side. And those wires were very tiny, but even if they were seen, they used to take it out electronically so you couldn't see it. But that was very uncomfortable because you had to stay flat for maybe a half an hour at a time. Like, at least like that. I mean, I don't know if any of you have ever laid on your stomach and try to keep your arms and your legs up. I had to do that for 30, 40 minutes at a time. So that was very uncomfortable. The other flying that I did was really fun. Like, they would set up a crane, like a construction crane, they would bring it in here. And if I had to do a scene where like I'm on the grass and I'm punching somebody out and then I have to fly away, they'd hook me up. I'd do my punch out scene, they'd cut it, and then they'd add me there again with the other costume on. And the cue was my cue, I would just bend myself at the knees and that was their cue to pull me up. And they would, and I would just let go and they would pull me up and I'd go to like the roof of a building or something. So this stuff was fun, but like if you were afraid of heights, you were really doing the wrong thing. Like one time in Florida, I'll never forget this, it was a cloudy day and in Florida you have a lot of thunderstorms this summer. So they had me on this crane that's maybe 100 feet tall, attached to it with steel wires. There's thunder all over the place. No, it gets better, it gets better. So the crane is on top of a bridge that's over like, Florida doesn't have a lot of rivers, but it was something like a river or a big lake. So I'm up like 100 feet over the bridge. Then they swing me out hanging over the bridge, so I'm a couple of 100 feet from whatever's under there. And then because my safety officer, who is my stunt guy, who's supposed to be in charge of your safety, was like, had some girlfriend on his lap or something. He basically wasn't looking out for my safety at the time. So he wasn't looking, and then they swung me like this, and I almost hit power lines. Whoa. So I was going, guys, thunder, lightning, power lines, get me down. So it really wasn't the flying that scared me that time. It was that these guys just were, didn't do the job well. But most of the time, that was really fun. Flying outside was fun.
The glamour of Hollywood.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with that.
Lucky you.
I was going to say, John, now, you're going to tell us that you had an easy time and it was the most fun you've ever had, right?
It was on the wires. I had the wires flying like that, but it wasn't a problem at all. But I didn't have to go heights. So this was way before you guys.
Only real Superboys go. Where others don't dare.
They probably didn't fly you any near any...
No. I was in the studio all the time.
Now, anybody else have a question? We've got a gentleman right here.
Mr. Christopher, just real quick, in case no one else has said anything for saving, really great show. But my question is for Mr. Rockwell. Is your Superboy available on DVD? And, can we get it happening in any way?
That's a good question. I really don't know.
We did it for Mr. Christopher. So.
Yeah, someone said that it is on DVD now, that it's on YouTube.
Okay.
It's on YouTube. Because they just contacted me a little while ago and said, hey, there's a great thing happening in Metropolis, Illinois, and you should come down. I said, all right.
We're glad you did.
I'm glad I'm here. It's nice people.
That's a good question. That would lead me into what, now, it's probably a top secret, but you can just tell me. Do you know anything about seasons 2 through 4 of Superboy being released on DVD?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I heard hearsay from that gentleman over there,
We'll take yours.
but he can say, what you, Michael?
Give him the mic.
Yeah, let's get this on the record. It'll be on YouTube and
Well, sorry, Brooke. According to Jim Bowers at Cape Wonder, Warner Brothers Home Video is looking at the original elements from seasons 2 through 4, and it's not a question of if anymore, but when. And we're looking at maybe next summer with Man of Steel, or probably next winter with the Blu-ray of Man of Steel. So it's being evaluated as we speak.
Awesome.
And this is from the same company. That's from the same company that killed our show. We were number 10 show, and they shut us down so that they could do another show. So Take that for all it's worth.
Yeah. Your series started in 1990?
With the other actor, it was 88. I got in there in 89.
My best guess would be that I religiously watched your show when I was probably in 2nd or 3rd grade. That being said, I was an enormous Superboy fan, and I watched as many shows as my parents would allow. But then my parents wouldn't allow me to watch your show anymore when Superboy, in each subsequent episode, became darker and darker, and Superboy would be tortured. I believe in one episode he had almost sold his soul to the devil. I mean, like, and is it? I guess online it says that there was a deliberate choice when the series continued to make it darker and make it grittier. Would you say that your seasons were appropriate for kids? Because I certainly went to bed with nightmares after watching I just wanted to be very honest. My dad wouldn't let me watch it anymore because Superboy nearly died in more than a few episodes. Was it meant for 2nd graders, or do you think that they pushed the series into teenagers?
Well, the only thing I would say is if you have any legal issues, you should talk to Ilya Salkin. I had nothing to do with that. If you remember, you maybe not because you're too young, maybe. Because I don't know if you were wearing Superman diapers at the time, but back then, or Batman diapers, where Batman had just come out. That movie, the first one that was very dark, and because that movie was very dark, it kind of got people thinking, hey, you know, there's a cool thing, it's a cool way to go. You know, because we used to kind of joke on the show on the first season that I did and saying, as a matter of fact, I think I used to say it to Ilya. I used to say, you know, Ilya, we got to do something here. I kind of look like a geek. I'm in a bright, sunny place with this bright costume on. I said, I feel like I'm a Christmas tree lit up. I said, you know, can we do something and make the show? You know, I pitched in. It wasn't my idea, so don't sue me. But I pitched in, you know, when the idea was out there that we should be going in a different direction. So that was very conscious to do that. I mean, I don't think they were trying to turn off kids, but I think our audience was definitely not especially two-year-old kids. It wasn't. You know, people watching the show were from 2 years to 90. So I think they were just going after the demographic of people that buy commercials. And that's really what they want, because 2-year-old kids don't have any control over the television. So I think they were just after more adults.
Very good question, very good question. Now, I'm not trying to implicate you in any trauma that this young man suffered, but you were a producer later on in the show. How did you get to become the producer? Because that's a lot of work. You're already a star, and all of a sudden you have, you know, duties aside from that. What were those duties?
No. When I was doing the show, you know, you get friendly with the people that you're working with, and they knew that, you know, I had studied in college. I had studied stuff, you know, writing and this and that. So I did ask to start writing, and once I started writing, they liked my writing. So. But when you start writing a show, you're competing with the established writers for their work. So if you know that you're only going to do 24, 26 episodes that season, and all of a sudden they have an actor, but they like his writing, and they want him to do a couple of, you know, shows that season, you're basically taking work away from the other actor, you know, the writers. So it's a hard thing to do, but I did start writing right away, and they liked what I did. And basically everything comes down to the numbers. If the stuff that you write gets good ratings, that's good. I'll let you keep doing it. So they let me keep doing it. And in the final, or about the next to final season, we knew that the producer of the show was going to leave. I think she was going to work for some other show thing now. So they weren't sure who they were going to bring in. So I had some discussion with the guy who was the head of television at Viacom, and he got me going. You know, it just made sense because, you know, there are a couple of things that, this might be too much information for you, but when you're shooting a show, they obviously don't want the show to go over budget. You know, if you're an actor and you're in control of the shooting of the show, you can have a very big effect on the budget. You can take your time and goof around with your friends, and the show goes dramatically over budget, and then that's not good for anybody. The show's going to get canceled. But if they think that you have the show's best interest in heart, if I'm the lead actor in the show and I know that if I work faster, the show saves money, that makes me look good, that's kind of in their best interest to do that. So there were a lot of reasons to kind of make it happen that were very pro-business and keeping the show on the air and keeping the 120 people employed and making everybody, you know,
How many shows did you write?
I just wrote, I think, 3.
And produce?
I produced, I co-produced like I co-produced 1 season, I produced the other one, so I produced about 20 something. But your question about how I did it was, you know, when I was you know, this was in the 80s when personal computers first came out. I had a compact computer that was about this fat, and this big, and I used to sit and I used to write in my costume when I was on the side of, you know, while I was waiting to say my lines, I was writing another show usually, like doing something like that. But when I wasn't working, which was pretty rare, they would have me go inside and do like a casting session where I would be involved in the casting of the guest stars, you know, picking out, you know, I didn't pick out like Stacey Heidick's wardrobe or the other actors' wardrobe, but I was involved in all the creative aspects of the show. And it was fun. It was fun.
Now, John, there's a book out about your show, The Adventures of Superboy, and that you had a whole season of worth of scripts planned out. Do you know if you ever got to the writing stage? If those scripts were ever written out, or what? Did you ever get to see anything that was coming out?
Well, the book that's out, they had some episodes in there in the book. Yeah, they are there. I don't know how many episodes are. I don't remember. But yes, they had the episodes are ready to go. Yeah, when they said you're going to be working a lot, I said, no. And then you don't work at all. But then you go other jobs. So.
Would anyone else like to ask a question? We have an answer down here.
Gerard. I'm a huge fan of the shows. I love the teen years.
Oh, thank you.
College years shown.
That was fun.
Yeah. And one of the most intriguing bits on the show is the relationship with Superboy and Lana Lang. I haven't seen, obviously, the 4th season yet, but if the show hadn't been canceled, they had continued with making them closer, maybe her finding out Dark Secret, or any ideas on that?
If we continued, I would have graduated to Superman. Because the last show, I think it was, Sam will correct me because he knows this stuff better than me, but I think my last show was called Rites of Passage. And in Rites of Passage, it wasn't the last one that we actually shot. It was like the next to last one that we shot, but it was the last one that aired. And in that one, I became Superman. So for them to continue, they would have had to change the name of the show, which they would have done. They would have called it The New Adventures of Superman, or they would have called it The Continuation of something. They would have changed the name a little bit, and I would have been Superman. And you know, we had it was going in that direction. But Viacom, Warner Brothers, our friends that say they want to do our DVDs, they're the ones that pulled the plug on the show because they wanted to do their own Superman show, which was Lois and Clark. So they pulled the plug on us.
Well, being the dog lover that I am, I have 4 dogs. I just want to know, was Crypto ever considered for Superboy?
You know the answer to that already. These guys with their loaded questions. All right, could you give him the mic back thing? All right, I have a question for you. Was Crypto ever considered on the Super Bowl? He probably knows better than me.
Yes, he was.
Okay, so tell me how that went down.
Can I get up on the panel? Because
Get over here.
all right. Are you serious?
Talk. Come on, I want to know.
Well, basically, they did bring in Crypto for 1 episode, but they couldn't pay the dog treatment, basically.
Oh.
Yeah,
Is that the story?
that's the story, and I'm sticking to it.
It doesn't have to do with like, you know, poop breaks and things.
Probably.
Okay, no doggy diapers or anything
No,
like
depends.
Once in a while.
That's a great idea.
that? Well, I didn't hear that end of the story. I remember that there was really brief discussion of using a dog, but it never happened. I was in the dark about the rest.
Well, I can say something about that. When we shot the Superboy pilot, they asked me about a dog, and I had a dog that I would teach to jump off of a building 20 feet high, and I'd catch him. So he was going to be in the show. I was training the dog to do almost everything. And in the book, there is a picture of the dog that I'm in court, and the dog's walking on his hind legs, and it says, Super Dog outshines Superboy.
Why don't you tell him how your dog died?
The dog retired in Mexico. He lived 21 years. Wow. And the dog was a poodle that was never cut, so it didn't look like a poodle. But I would take it on Sunset, and on the back of a motorcycle, he would sit and put his paws on my shoulder, and I'd be going down Sunset, 40, 50 miles an hour. And if he ever let go, it was all over with. But the dog was so trained that I'd see a girl, I'd say, go get the one in the white dress, not the red. He'd stand up and walk, grab her by the hand, and bring her back to me. So they did a movie after that called Another Chance in '87, and I had trained a German Shepherd, a white German Shepherd, to do the same thing. So the movie was called Another Chance. If you ever see that movie, you'll see the dog. You know that?
John's in between relationships right now because he doesn't have a dog.
It used to help a lot. That's my story with the dog.
Please don't tell the ASPCA about this panel.
Work with Noel Neal.
Yeah, I did. She was a guest on an episode that we had. I think it was called Paranoia. Is that right? Paranoia. And I worked with Jack Larson as well. Yeah, they mentioned, they talked about our show, and you can ask Noel and Jack for their quotes about my show versus their show. They actually, do you know what they said? No?
You're on for panel.
No, but they really liked our show. I'll just say that.
John, did you have any contact with anyone from the old show? Aside from the production team?
No idea.
Questions for Gerard. What are some of your more memorable moments working with Sherman Howard and Stacey Hyda? Maybe some other guest stars like Roddy Piper and Lex Luger?
Roddy Piper was fun. I mean, he was one of the first guys I worked with that was really like kind of a big, imposing, strong guy. He's a wrestler for people that don't know who he is. So he was fun. I mean, I worked with Greg Allman, if people know who he is, and I remember scaring the bejesus out of him because I had to grab him once, and I really grabbed him, and I shook him, and I went like this, and he just looked like he had to change his pants after that. Because the guy laid on the floor, and like, he couldn't say his lines anymore. That was fun. Stacey Hydick, I would say, was really great to work with. She's a natural actress. She just was a very good actress. I mean, I really can't say enough about her. She was really great. There's some great people. Ron Ely, if people know who he was, somebody asked me about him today. He was amazing. Like, he was like a real father figure, even on the set. And there was just so many good people we had that came in there. Who else did he have? Sherman Howard. Sherman Howard, I think he was really great to have on the show because he was part of the new team that we had that kind of notched the show up. You know, his performances were always so spot on, so excellent, so spirited. He was like always very forceful. He kind of rose everybody's game up a little bit, so it kind of contributed to a lot of really good episodes when he was on the show.
And John, what memories do you have of some of your co-stars in your pilot?
Did they involve your dog?
Good.
Any little puppy pooper scooper story?
Just kidding. So for those of you that don't know, I know John for years and years. I know him before I got Superboy. So if I'm goofing on him, that's where it's coming from. We go way back.
It was funny that Whitney said that George Reeves, they used to ask him to see him fly, and his remark would be, "You touched me in the right spot." and I said, and he says, "Don't use that, John. You can't say that." You know, one of those things. I said, "Oh, yeah, you got to touch me in the right spot." And that was his line, and he said, "Don't you ever use that line." And I says, "I won't." but no, I had a lot of fun on the set. It was, you know, they had me on the trampoline when I had to go out on camera, and I used to do a lot of tumbling, so I said, I'll do all my own stunts. So I'd hit the trampoline and go over something, but it was interesting, really interesting.
Oh, do you mind if I ask a question? Did you ever meet George when he was alive?
No.
No.
Actually, I had met the girl that he was dating, Tony Maddox.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I went to the house.
Oh yeah.
I can tell you about that.
I was in his house too.
When they did the seance.
I didn't do a seance.
They were doing the seance thinking that, you know, did he really commit suicide or did he not? You know, and they who knows? It was still, it was out on that. But a lot of speculation on that. Yeah.
So did you use a tramp like he did, like just a small one where you jump off it and jump off camera?
I just want to find out what was the spot that you were supposed to touch.
That I didn't even want to ask.
Okay, so we get scoop here.
Yeah.
So anyone else here? Where do you guys go? What are your future plans?
Coming back here, I don't know, in 10 more years. Hopefully not with, you know, wheelchair or something. No, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to, I don't want to live in Mexico, but I'd like to live in maybe Hawaii or something. That would be nice.
John, what about you?
I'm working on bringing a football team to Los Angeles. And the team that I'm probably going to bring is the Raiders. Wow. And so I've been putting that together, and it's a lot of pieces of the puzzle. So that's the project that I'm working on. Then a company called Air to Water that I started 10 years ago, and it's finally where we make water out of air. And they think it's going to be a big thing. We're the only company that has the patents around the world. So
That's pretty cool.
So, and if anyone wanted to keep up with you guys, how would they do it?
I can't be reached. No, I'm kidding. Somebody, one of the fans for me runs a Facebook page because I was just so horrible at doing it myself. I just asked somebody to do it for me. So that's a good idea.
And John, how about you?
I will know when I get back after this meeting here in Metropolis. I think it's going very well. So then someone said there's a big show in Chicago, and so we'll see what happens.
Okay. You guys have been terrific. Haven't they been good? Yeah.
The audience is really good, so I really want to thank you for coming. Really.
No, really, I have to tell you, these are some of the best questions I've ever gotten anywhere, and I'm not just saying that.
Wow.
I mean, half of this stuff you asked me, I never even thought of before. I mean, it was really, some of them were very thought-provoking questions, like yours about, you know, did they think about how it affects kids? You know, anybody that's got kids, you got to think about that. You know, I mean, these were some very interesting questions out here. So thanks very much.
All right. Well, give yourselves a hand, all right?
Of course, we think these two guys are pretty special. So, we have a special award that we would like to present to them. Now, you guys may have been Superboys. Of course, you're men now. But officially now, you are a Superman of Metropolis. Gerard? and John. Our new Superman of Metropolis.